Hello, beautiful people. Hi, I'm Ashley. I play RuneScape and it looks like this for me. I made my account over a decade ago, and when I started to play actively again, I decided to play RuneScape 3. If you don't know, there's two versions of RuneScape, and there's absolutely no reason why I chose RuneScape 3. I just started playing and I fell in love with it. So yeah, this is what RuneScape looked like when I made my account. It's a little different. Now, of course, I've logged into old school RuneScape a few times. Actually, according to Hans, I've played just under 12 hours, so we'll call it about 10 hours since I just spent an hour plus talking to people. So it's kind of impossible if you've been playing for a while not to notice that there seems to be a lot more people playing old school RuneScape. I mean, just a quick Google shows a huge gap, like gaping. And I've always wondered why, because I don't know, I think RuneScape 3 has a lot of great content, but I'm also admittedly uninformed when it comes to old school. In the 10 hours that I have in the game, it was mostly on the mobile app waiting in a line somewhere, or I don't know, just on the couch being a vegetable. I like the simplicity of the old school mobile app, so I like to chop trees to pass time. When I played as a kid, a lot of my time was just spent in Lumbridge Castle Courtyard learning why it's a bad idea to tell people on the internet that you're a girl and wanting to get into house parties. So I never actually played the game. I didn't have a membership. I couldn't afford it, and I wasn't about to take my mom's card like some other deviants I've heard about. So what I'm saying is, I don't know anything about old school RuneScape except that the graphics are a huge throwback and I can't use a lodestone network to get places quickly. And that has been enough to keep me from actually trying old school out. But yeah, so a lot of people play, and recently a lot of my RuneScape 3 friends have even jumped over to old school. So my question is, why do people choose to play old school RuneScape instead of RuneScape 3? Now, I would love to hear what you have to say in the comments. So there was really no other option. I logged into my old school account and I set out on my quest for understanding. And I even made some friends along the way. So I started by asking people why old school is better than RuneScape, and I ended up changing this question to why do you play old school instead of RuneScape 3 because it was super pointed, and my goal isn't to determine which is best, but just why people play. I definitely feel like talking to strangers in RuneScape 3 is harder. A lot of times they just straight up ignore you, or they act like, I don't know, kind of bothered. So this guy said microtransactions, and honestly, that is so true. This is so true, and it's one of the things that kind of gets me about RuneScape 3, especially in the last few years. Almost all of our events in RuneScape now are tied to buying bonds and treasure hunter keys. And yeah, you can still definitely get seasonal things and event items by just playing the game. But a lot of times they make your chances of getting those things so low that it's just not possible for most people. Unless you get stupid lucky. It just kind of leaves an icky taste in your mouth, you know? So this person said because people play it. They're not wrong. There's times where I'll log into my homeworld in RuneScape, and there's 50 people online, and it's okay. They also asked if I think that old school is better, and I don't know. I just really don't know anything about the game. I only know the stuff that I knew from a kid, and that was Alcarid, Varg, Lumbridge, killing goblins, chickens, and just talking. And I get the nostalgia aspect because, that's why I came back to RuneScape in the first place. And yeah, these people are right, Mud Ash is a total cutie. And then there was this pleasant reaction. I don't know what he said, but I'm glad it was censored. It probably would have hurt my feelings. It was honestly just kind of refreshing to see people actually having a conversation with me too. If you don't know, I stream on Twitch, and every once in a while, someone will come in who plays old school RuneScape and just absolutely start ripping on RuneScape 3. I guess it's something to do when you're bored, right? So what I'm saying is, my experience with old school players, at least on Twitch, has been very negative towards RuneScape 3, and it was cool to see people just weren't absolutely dragging RuneScape 3. I would say everyone seemed very friendly. So in terms of interactions, I'm going to give old school RuneScape community an A++. I would say this answer, nostalgia, is definitely the number one thing that most people said. I didn't include everyone that I talked to because a lot of people said this. They played it as a kid, and that's why they like it. And I mean, I get it. RuneScape 3 is not recognizable if you play old school. And honestly, playing the game was kind of fun, just walking around, seeing things the way they used to be. When I was a kid, I had the sickest drip ever. I had them fancy boots, you already know. I had that gold trim black armor, and you couldn't tell me nothing. I was the flyest scaper around. So it got a lot of this too. People basically saying that they played old school because someone else got them into it. Like, basically they didn't necessarily care either way which one they started playing. It's just they already had someone that they knew that basically told them to pick that game, and that's how they ended up there. And I suppose that's just something that happens with any game, isn't it? You like to play it, you want to have friends to play it, so you tell them to play it, then you get them hooked on it, and it's a downward spiral from there, right? It starts out with running around Lumbridge, having a good time. Next thing you know, you've got a max cash stack and a medieval clicker addiction. We've all been there at one point. I'm talking like I'm shaking it, but I'm very much deep into my downward spiral. Help me. So, this is what happens when I don't actually write what I want to say and I just talk over the video I recorded. It gets a little, feelings. So up to now, I hadn't really heard anything like super specific to old school RuneScape that kept people playing it. Besides being turned off by microtransactions in RuneScape 3, which honestly, same. I wasn't really hearing anything super detailed about why people specifically like old school RuneScape. So this person was like, okay, the Endgame is great. Seriously. And I'm like, oh, cool. I know nothing about the Endgame. So what do you find fun? I'm like deep into the endgame in RuneScape 3, and I've literally only killed cows and chickens in old school RuneScape. They said TOA, and I had no idea what that was, so I had to go look it up real quick. Look kind of cool though. Okay, can we just talk about something? One thing that I had heard from people is that there's a lot of bots in old school RuneScape. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. You could let me know, please, in the comments. But I was standing here talking to this person and I saw a bunch of like bald-headed men walking back and forth from the stairs to the bank. And I couldn't help but wonder if those were like new players or if it was like bots that didn't change their default appearance. I don't know. I mean, usually when you see this many characters performing the same action over and over again, it's a bot. But what are they doing? Like, what are they even doing here? Does anyone know? Help. So this is something that was brought up before. Basically that the style of game is something that attracts people. It's a lot simpler. And honestly, I get it. Even I hardly ever log into the RuneScape 3 mobile app because there's just too much going on. The only times I ever play old school is when I log into the app, and I like it because it's simple. There are like hella particles in RuneScape 3 between the different overrides and animations and movements and spells, and there's a lot going on. They also brought up the combat system in RuneScape 3. Now, I like EOC. I never did any combat really that, required me to do anything before EOC came out. And it might just be because that's what I'm used to now and that's how I learned to fight in the game, but I think it's fun. But it's also definitely not revolutionary in itself, like they're saying. There are definitely a lot of games that I've played after where I've been like, this feels really familiar. Oh my god, and I had to talk to this person doing line fires. This is one of my favorite things to do. It's just like so satisfying, isn't it? Especially when you go zoom, zoom, zoom. But yeah, they said pay to win kind of sad, and yeah, it's come up a few times, but honestly, it's a huge part of RuneScape 3 right now, whether you like it or dislike it. They have made it abundantly clear that they are not going to abandon this strategy, and they've actually recently doubled down on it quite hard. I mean, a 70 task yak track, like, get out of here. They also said that they just enjoy this game, like the content and the raids, and that's what that other person said, so maybe endgame content is kind of fun. But I learned a lot on this journey, and I also had some fun along the way. I killed cows, I killed chickens, I ran away from the dark wizards and Varric. Oh my god, they were so scary when I was a kid. I just genuinely had a good time talking to people and running around. It was kind of nice. So yeah, I don't really know what the point of this was, and it was a rambly mess, but it's my mess, and I had fun doing it. Ultimately, I was just curious, and I feel like I got a lot of great answers and a lot of my questions answered. And it turns out a lot of people like to play old school RuneScape for the same reasons that they play RuneScape 3. And I don't know, maybe one day I'll give old school RuneScape a shot. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, share, and most importantly, be kind to one another. See you next time, friends!